Hey everybody, welcome back to Stay Positive. I'm recording this intro kind of late at night, so, a little lower energy. But guys, we have a really fun episode for you today. I'm very excited to get into it. But before we do, I do gotta address the moss dog in the room, which I did introduce last time. My friend got me a moss dog. We need to name it, okay? Long story short, that's what I set up last time. The moss dog itself is doing well. It's thriving. It's a dog made out of moss. Got a succulent on its back. You know what I mean? What else do I need to explain to everyone? What's fun about it is I have to apparently spray it. So I use this whole hairspray thing that I used to use, or like hair polish thing, and I filled it with water. And now I spray it, and the moss dog lives to tell the tale. So I told everybody, hey, email me at staypositive@gmail.com and, suggest some names. So I got a lot of submissions. That's not totally true. I did get one in particular, though, that does stand out, and it is from Joshua Bracken. Thank you, Joshua Bracken. Joshua submitted over 100 names, or exactly 100 names. The top one that he listed was Mossy, which is, very classic, and then it goes all the way to Herb as number 100. I like that. Or Herb, if you're going for short for Herbert. A lot of great ones here because they're kind of all in the sort of earthy, we've got, number 59 is Climate Change. The moss dog named Climate Change. I like that one. Anyway, there's a bunch of great ones here, and I want to read through all of them, but I know it's a lot. I'll do some real fast. Mossy, Lassie Mossy, Greeny, Succulent with SUCC capitalized. Lawn Dog, Lawn, Marsh Owl, Marshall, Bush, Tree Fee, Aloe, Forest Gump, Grassy Knoll, Stump, Bud, Flower Bud, Dandelion, North, because moss always grows on the north side, allegedly. Wow, thank you. Anyway, guys, Joshua Bracken won the naming game. Though I haven't landed on exactly which name I want, this is a great start, and I appreciate it. And, to all you others out there who didn't submit, consider this a warning. Okay, but let's get down to the real business. You guys are really excited about this guest, I hope. He is one of the founders and creators of Wong Fu Productions, which is an awesome YouTube channel. Check it out if you don't already know. Millions of subscribers. They've been around for 15 years, making amazing video series. Worked on some of them with them, and just am a fan. So it was cool he came on. One funny, embarrassing thing about this session was basically the entire time I've been recording this podcast, I've been using these microphones like this, like a comedian does, which is I normally talk into the top of it. But then he was like, oh, I think you have to talk into the side because we got better audio that way. And literally it changed the game. So apparently I've been using these microphones incorrectly the entire time. And Philip Wang had to come on this podcast and tell me how to use my own damn microphones. How embarrassing is that? Okay, so I spoiled the name already. It's Phil Wang, everyone. He's a awesome dude, celeb. Follow his shit if you don't already, and listen to this fun episode because it's pretty dope. Thanks.
Wait, you know what it is, Sierra? Sorry, I have to give you some technical.
Uh-oh, what?
I think I think you're supposed to be talking like this.
Oh, you're totally right.
Right.
Whoa,
you can hear,
I've never noticed that before. This whole time. Okay.
You're supposed to be talking like this.
Oh,
and turn
then what kind of mic? Why does it do that?
So there's cardioid, and then there's
okay. It's because it looks like the singers.
It's directed a certain way.
They did have that. They gave me that certificate.
Yeah. Right. Oh man, did I just completely transform your?
Yeah. I think
it's literally right here.
Okay, and then I turn that, and then here it is.
It's right here. Yeah.
Oh wow, this is gonna help, I think.
Yeah.
No wonder I was always like, yeah, I think you just gotta get closer. Oh, okay, great. Well,
I
good
just
thing.
mansplained things to you, and it was
Thanks
correct.
For stopping by and seen. You've done your work.
That's all I came for.
Yeah. Thank you for figuring out that technical difficulty.
Yeah. You want me to set up your Wi-Fi too?
Better. Yeah. Can you go check the modem?
Yeah.
I think it's broken. Actually, though, there was a spectrum blackout.
Okay.
Were you a part of that at all?
No.
We didn't have Wi-Fi for a day, and it was this dark ages in here. It was rough. But thanks for stopping by, Phil.
Of course.
Excited to hear Phil from Wong Fu fame.
Wong Fu fame. I don't know about fame.
I like to say that, Phil of Wong Fu fame.
Cool.
Wong Fu Phil on the socials. That's why
Right.
what I put on the letterboard here.
I really like the alliteration, you know.
Yeah. Wong Fu fame.
Yeah.
And Phil of recent engagement. Very exciting.
Wong Fu fiance.
Wong Fu fianced.
Yeah. Fiance. I got all the
I would
fuzz.
say, yeah. Oh, I have listened to you recently, you and Helen on ABG,
Yeah,
Asian
yeah.
Bosco
Oh,
podcast. Shout out.
Thank you.
So I know a little bit about it, and the usual, video. Oh yeah, that's your water. Video of the documentation of the big surprise.
Okay.
But how's it feel? How's it been since? Because I know it's kind of been. You've had some time.
Yeah, the time went by really fast. So I asked Helen to marry me in mid-November, and it was so stressful, like leading up to it, that when I got back, I was like, oh, can that just be it? Like I felt really accomplished already.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, I just I didn't want to think about anything else, and she was already like, dude, we have to start, and I was like, okay, we'll get to it.
Oh, planning.
Yeah, planning.
Oof, yeah, that's intense.
And then the holidays came, and then New Year's came, and New Year's, you always have to ramp up into the year. So we haven't made that much progress.
What's
That's
your
the sad
big?
thing.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, I don't think it hasn't been that long, right? Or
In wedding time, it has
because you
been.
want to get it going.
Not, I mean, yes, that part, and also just things like weddings just have a very long tail.
Sure, you got to rent out the thing right
That,
away.
yeah. So everything is already rented out already for the rest of the year.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
And
I thought you
then-
meant you guys had already rented everything, but yeah, everything is.
Yeah, all
taken.
the venues. So we have to be creative with that if we want to hit 2020. And then I didn't know this, but wedding dresses take months, half a year to
Wait,
get a
why?
wedding dress. You have to talk to. I guess
Sure,
it depends on
choosing.
Yeah, you're choosing
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
want, and then you have to get alterations on
Sure.
it. And that takes a really long
alterations,
time.
Yeah, and then you gotta maintain that frame.
If you
that
feel
point.
you need to,
Yeah, I guess. I mean, then
Yeah.
that can be tricky in and of itself. I know I've talked about this before, but I worked on a wedding makeover type show
Okay.
where basically it's kind of like Queer Eye on Netflix, but for weddings. So
Okay.
it's the host goes in and she helps with the wedding. But
Wait, it
it's
was a
not
reality
about-
show?
Yeah.
And they hired a writer? Are you telling me that reality shows are not
oh my God.
truly
Exposed.
unscripted? No.
Exposed.
What did you have to write for it?
So ideas, it's kind of more of a think tank.
Okay,
so
got
it's they were very good about being we love as little outlining as possible of what the episode will be like.
It's great for you.
But but what could be a possible little game they could play here, or what could she present to them, knowing we already know what the couples are kind of maybe what their personalities are. You can kind of extrapolate on oh, this one's gonna be difficult. This is a groomzilla.
Can you do that for me and Helen?
I could. I don't think I'd be very good since I've never really planned a wedding before.
Okay.
Will you be a groomzilla?
I don't think so. I feel like, it's. I used to say, oh yeah, I don't really care about this stuff. It's all commercialized,
Right.
anyways.
Right.
And I thought that I wouldn't have a lot of opinions, and then we started the process, and I was like, oh, I actually really do care. It's one of those things
Yeah.
where I thought I didn't care, and then now that we're in it, I'm just like, okay, I want to make sure it's what I like,
Sure.
Especially if you're
yeah,
spending so
it's
much money.
important. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, of course. It's until it happens to you, then.
That's
and
how-
I
that-
realized that could be the case. With
That's how I thought about the ring too. I was like, I used to even tell Helen, we used to joke. I'm like, Helen, let's just get some paper rings. We don't need to partake in this
right.
part
Or
of
just
the.
get a little branch off a tree and twist it in a circle.
Don't let society affect you. It's all manufactured. And she obviously was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But then when I actually went to go ring shopping by myself without her, I was like, oh, these are pretty. And then
Sure.
I understood.
That's exciting, though. I
Yeah.
feel like not a lot of husbands or on the male side of
Yeah.
stuff get excited about the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they kind of have to because they are the ones who often purchase it. But.
Yeah, and I think for me it was exciting because it was a big purchase, but also I knew that it represented this big step, and I was excited for that, that
Yeah.
almost it's like a rite of passage, I hopefully will never have to buy another engagement ring,
Right,
and so I was actually like trying to savor that moment. I realized that I was going really fast through the, I was trying to get through it quick, the process of looking and buying a ring. And then I was like trying to slow down. I'm like, wait, this is a big deal. This is going to happen once in my life. So I was trying to like be really present as I was doing it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It is sort of a thing where like, well, yeah, I mean, being present in a big decision, I think we often don't do that.
And I realized as I was rushing through that I caught myself to like, hey, slow down. That's my personality, to try to like zoom out and try to be, find those moments of like, hey, this is unique, or appreciate this. But I can imagine that to other people that might not think that way, that marriage is something that people just like rush through because they think that they have to, or they don't bring things up because they just want to get through it. And I was like, oh, this is probably like the time frame where a lot of mistakes are made, and people that should not get married.
Yeah, or like, I mean, we're supposed to do this, so why not, right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What about the person who's not as introspective or whatever, right? What are they gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
How many times do they get married?
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a little. Yeah. I remember talking with a friend who's recently engaged, and I think like thinking about, well, obviously you're a rom-com guy coming from the Wong Fu world. I don't know. Right. Is that a good assessment?
I don't take that offensively.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's really bad rom-coms.
Well, at least you're aware of the genre.
I'm aware of the genre. I'm aware that I like to write about feelings.
Yeah.
And emotions and love and stuff and relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like, I mean, because I loved watching rom-coms, and I feel like with, some of my friends growing up, I realized we kind of maybe have that in common. And so one of my friends who recently got engaged, I think the engagement was such a big buildup for her, just from like being like, oh, this is a thing that happens and it's magical. And I mean, I think the same thing is like prom, or like when people kind of build up these certain events. And so then kind of that was the first time I realized like, oh yeah, I guess, the only ones we really see are the ones in movies. And then, occasionally friends ones, but then like oftentimes maybe you only see the end result, and you don't see like what they went through and how much planning it went into it. And that things don't just like happen. Yeah. And
the emotional journeys of each individual, like when you see them at the altar, they're making this, statement there. But ideally, in order for two people to reach the conclusion and the decision that they want to do this, like there should be a lot of introspection and a lot of challenges to, turn whatever type of relationship that they have into something really strong and special, ideally.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else have you learned through like the engagement process, I guess, if at all?
It's been only a few months. So things have just been so crazy, and I feel bad. Like I know I should be more active in it. We got a wedding planner, so
nice.
That's supposed to help. But are you talking about like since engagement or to lead up to engagement? Yeah,
I mean, I guess whatever you feel like is more relevant to your own learning.
I to be honest, I feel like we're already married, and now we just have to throw a really expensive party.
Cool.
So to me, the decision to just get engaged, that was already like the big life choice moment for me, because it's not like I was going to say it and then like take it back. So I treated it very heavily. Yeah. Like it's not like, I don't think like I'm before the vows, like I'm going to have this huge epiphany of, I got like, I asked you to marry you a year ago, but now I get it. Right. I don't think that's going to happen.
Wow. Yeah.
That'd be
good
great.
thing we bought all these expensive decorations.
Right. So the lead up to the engagement, that's I think where I had my most introspection and growth and challenging myself and everything. And yeah, like, I mean, there's so much for me that went into why I was ready to take that decision or to take that step with her. That could be a whole podcast episode.
And I know you've had to like, as much as I know you're an introspective person, I feel like it also being like what you do for a living also makes you like as open about stuff too. So I know that's it's a lot of reflecting publicly.
Like, no, it's fine. I don't mind that. I'm just like, oh man, it's like kind of like where do I start, and what are the cliff notes of it, and obviously everyone has a different journey, but I think one thing that a few things, but one thing that I really appreciate about Helen is that, you know, she's like a teammate that I can see myself, like when there's conflict. My first knee-jerk reaction isn't to be like, oh, I think there's someone better for me.
Ooh,
You know,
yeah.
that I think when you're younger and you're in your 20s or in your, like, you know, just early relationships, it's very like self-centered, and you're just like, I don't like you anymore. I'm annoyed by you. You know, you don't fit my plans anymore. And that's fair. I mean, you know, people are figuring themselves out and growing, and life is very uncertain, you know, at that time. And I think because I have a little bit more stability elsewhere, and also I've been through so many other previous relationships, that I've learned a lot about myself through, like, she's kind of the first one where, and thanks to my previous relationships and the lessons I've learned, like, she's the first one where I'm able to be more aware that, like, we have to work together, and it's not always going to be what I want, because in her world, she's her own, you know, lead in her own story, right? And I had to sometimes be the supporting actor, right? Exactly. So that was a big shift in the way we problem solve, and you know, just treat one another. Yeah. And
Beautiful.
yeah, she makes me feel very comfortable in myself too. I think it's really important that you have a partner that you don't have to hide who you are, or not even hide who you. That sounds like everyone has all these secrets, but it's just more like, you know, you can be truly comfortable with, and you know, communicate with, and all that stuff.
Be your weird self.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, let me check.
Is it still recording?
I know, I get so frustrated.
Me too.
We're good.
Check the numbers are moving.
They're moving.
moving,
But
yeah.
okay, good. So we got all that.
Good.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, I mean, so
Are you there?
yeah, I know. Am I? Yeah. I mean, okay. So yeah, I know it's funny because you're like in their 20s. I mean, people who in earlier relationships. No, yeah. So I am in my 20s, but no, I think me and my boyfriend just celebrated our 6-year anniversary.
6
Isn't that insane?
years.
So I met him, you know, we met in college, so college sweethearts kind of thing. But yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of times on this podcast, people are like, oh yeah, so do you believe in soulmates? Oh yeah, is he outside? And I'm like, yeah, he's right there.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think we have had the luck of growing together. Obviously met at a time when I like definitely didn't know myself, and I still don't feel like I know myself. Still figuring it out every day.
Sure.
But I think what's nice is it's like we've kind of, I mean, we spend so much time together too, so it's sort of like you mold into the same person. So we have a lot of the same sense of humor, which is fun,
Right.
and like a lot of our values align, and like already did, because I don't think it would have worked out either way. But
Right.
like it's kind of cool because I think like we've changed a lot, and I think back to who I thought he was, and it's very different than who he has become, and or who he actually was, and yeah, in a good way too. Lots of surprises where I feel like I'm a kind of skeptical person when it comes to romance, or I was maybe.
Did you have bad experiences in previous relationships?
I had one other relationship, in high school, so it's kind of like whatever. But
it's your first
but
adult one.
it was, but it was still like a good, I'm thankful for that relationship because it was like young and didn't know anything besides rom-coms, you know.
Right.
And then so there, and then a little things here and there in between, but really nothing substantial. And then so
Well,
yeah.
I look forward to seeing it continue to develop.
you know, it's exciting. Obviously living together too, it like adds a lot of stuff. That was a big decision, but also like we were always.
Well, it's also like you guys are living together at a pretty young age. too.
Yeah. But I would say I see it more and more because rent's too expensive. You know what I mean? Like we're just like, I need to save money. I'm so sorry.
So that, we can save
we
money.
need to like, you like basically move in before you even go on a date.
It's like that's in people's like
Right.
dating profiles now. Like how big is your bed? Not for sex, but just
Right.
you know, for
Just
comfortable
for
sleeping.
two coexisting humans who want to split the rent.
Right.
So that worked out well. And then I guess I don't know. I think it's funny too because Well, I got to meet your parents.
Oh, yeah.
Cha cha cha. I'm your mom. So I got to play. I don't know. I got to play your mom.
Yeah,
as a younger person.
we did a commercial for a national major fast food chain.
Question mark.
When is this coming out?
I guess not. I guess I have a couple. Probably like a month.
It's out.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Congrats on the McDonald's commercial.
Yay! Thanks.
Yeah.
I was so surprised.
Sell out.
No, I know. I really. But listen, I be eating way more McDonald's now because they're in my brain.
Right.
I owe them.
I love McDonald's. It's like to me, it's not a sellout. I'm like,
You're
you
like,
should
mean
pay me.
The product that I love and have loved forever.
Yeah. But yeah, you played my the younger version of my mom in this interesting flashback concept.
Yeah, so fun.
So it was really cool.
Well, it's so funny because when I guess when I first got the email from you guys, it was like young mother. So I was like, oh, okay, do I have kids?
Oh, God.
Which is fine. I've gone out for young mother things.
Have you really?
Which is so funny because I've people have been like, oh, you're going to go no matter how young you are in Hollywood, you can be a mom. Because just the way sexism works, baby,
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool.
It.
I could be a young mom. And then, and then slowly then we're like, oh, okay. And then I'm a young version of a mom. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, that was by the 70s. And then I didn't know it was going to be your mom. So it was like constant revealing of oh, wow. Oh, cool. This is much cooler than I thought. Yeah. I mean, it was already very exciting, but so what an honor.
You did great.
What an honor. Oh,
yeah. You did great eating that Big Mac.
I mean, what a dream. You always see people eat on TV and you're like, maybe someday.
Yeah. And now,
I got to do it.
you know. Yeah.
We learned they place it in your hands so that it's perfectly,
a food stylist, make sure it looks nice.
They're clipping. I took a little picture of the sign on the room that said "Food Stylist Kitchen." Special kitchen just for that. Don't eat the food. Only style it.
And I get it. Like, I mean, people sometimes get mad at, what I got doesn't look like the pictures, and they get mad at that. But I'm like, well, of course they're just gonna make the pictures look good.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want to look at something real?
Right. Yeah. I guess they're saying, the way they make it needs to be on par with that. But,
oh God, yeah. Guys. What, you want a man coming in and clipping your sandwich every 2 seconds?
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then also, have you seen this is like a total tangent, but I was thinking about when you go to Asia or Asian restaurants around here and they have, often Japanese restaurants, I guess they have the display food.
Yeah,
and it's clearly made of something else, but it looks like the thing. I always thought they just sprayed resin. A thing, but they are actually making a plastic version.
When I was younger, I used to think, did they just take something that was real and encode it in something?
I thought for sure that was the case. It looks so real.
It looks so real. There's really amazing videos.
I have seen. Yeah. Well, I've seen one where they make lettuce. And it's like, wow, that's such lettuce.
It's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
It's very cool.
Anyway, well, basically that was what we did. That was very fun. But the highlight was meeting your mom and dad, who are very much look like a fusion of their faces makes your face.
That's how genetics work,
which is exciting. I know. I love. That's why I like meeting people's parents.
You're like, what were you in a previous iteration?
Exactly.
Split between two people.
Again, what does this DNA look like before? But yeah. So
now I feel like I'm supposed to be allowed to meet your parents.
What the hell? I mean, they've definitely seen. I think at least I feel like my mom has either met.
Have they come to a Wong Fu event?
No.
You're not proud. You're not proud to. You don't want to bring her.
Stay home, mom and dad.
Wow.
Don't show your face around here.
Yeah, damn. Fine.
But I'm sure they'd love to.
Hey, we'd love to have them.
I mean, and I have family and cousins who grew up watching Wong Fu. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're familiar.
Way to age me.
Well, I mean, I did too.
That's even worse. Oh God, no, it's true.
Grew up with you.
Right, with
so
some
you're
people.
Also, you grew up making Wong Fu. So same idea.
I mean, if you want to go from the first video, that was 17 years ago.
Yeah.
That
easy.
Boggles my mind. You know why? Because I think what was it? Backstreet Boys or something was celebrating their 20th or 25th anniversary, and I was like,
those things.
And when I think of Backstreet Boys, I was like, oh yeah, that's a long time ago. And then I'm like, wait, we're only a few years off from that. Are we that old?
You're the Backstreet Boys.
We have been doing this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
In a lot of different iterations. Yeah.
So many great things. Oh wait, that just reminded me of I watched the most recent the parody of the Kevins.
Oh, To All the Boys.
To All the Boys.
That we did To All the
It was
Kevins.
To All the Kevins. Very funny.
Yeah,
Very funny.
we put in like 600% more Asian men into the.
Sure. Yeah. Did you watch the? I mean, I don't know if you would want to watch the original.
I did watch the original because I hadn't when we made the.
Oh,
the
okay,
parody.
good. Yeah. It's important source material.
Right. I hadn't watched it yet. But I know it's a lot of fans around it. So we were watching it in celebration. And I was like, okay, cool. This might not make the cut.
I mean, look, yeah, safe space. Feel free to tell me any cuts you want.
Safe space.
But yeah, and the second one came out also fun.
I have okay. So here's a clean plate. I haven't seen the second one yet.
Okay, well, gotta watch it.
It's on my to-do list.
I mean, it's an enjoyable watch.
Let me ask you this: do you feel like the teen comedies were better when we were younger, or is that just our impression of them because we were younger?
It's so hard to say. I mean, I also don't know if I would consider To All the Boys a comedy. I mean, it is, but it's not like trying to be super funny. I think it's like you've got comic relief younger sister.
Yeah, but I think that's teen movies. So not teen comedy. Like it's not an American Pie.
Right. It's not like a Mean Girls.
Right. I would say this is like a 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, I see. Well, that was so good.
Was it though, or was it just our memory of it?
You're right.
I think it was good.
Both.
I think it was great. But there's a lot of tropes, but they became tropes.
There's some great lines in there though that I don't think I see.
Like what? I'm surprised if you can quote 10 Things I Hate About You.
I don't know. There's one I probably can't quote.
Why? Wait, I thought you said Safe Space.
No, it is. Well, I don't know. Is it a great line? It's pretty funny. Well, because they're all like fawning over the younger sister. Plus, it's also based on Shakespeare, so it's a little bit unfair story-wise.
Based on Shakespeare.
It is though,
I know
right?
it is. Yeah.
I mean, like the main premise. But yeah, I mean, it's more than that, I suppose. But when they're like, "What does she have? Beer flavored tits?" I just thought that was funny because it's like,
that's the one. That's
I don't know. I know it's
you?
terrible. I'm not PC in my taste.
Did you watch Walk to Remember?
I did when I was younger, but I haven't seen it recently.
Okay, so
but
like,
that's kind of somber. Like
that's more
she's
somber,
sick and
yeah.
stuff, right?
That's like a Fault in Our Stars, yeah.
Oh, right.
That would be like an
Oh,
equivalent.
yeah, I didn't see that. I guess it's based on book. Yeah, I don't know. The standards are high. So much content. You know what I mean?
That is true. But no, thanks for watching our new video.
Oh yeah. Well, the reason I brought it up too is spoiler. The Parasite tie-in was pretty funny.
Oh.
I didn't expect that too. Plus, I'm a big, I think June Lee comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know him at all, but I think. He's
really?
funny.
You guys should totally meet.
Big fan, but yeah, I think it was good to see him in a video.
That entire concept and putting the Parasite references, like, I'm actually really glad that we got to make that specific video, and because my mentality going into that, and even like post, like the reception of it, I was like, this is the kind of sketch that SNL would make.
Oh, totally.
If they had more
topical.
Asians, on their staff,
right,
or cast, or if we had an Asian Key and Peele or whatever. But because those don't exist, I was like, oh man, there's no one that would make this. And the problem with this is that there actually is a lot more Asian American topics or presence in the zeitgeist, right? And there's nothing out there to parody it or to depict it or make caricatures of it as other communities get to do.
Sure.
Right. So the ability to even have things to parody is already progress, but then now we don't really have anything in place to do it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you have like the one Asian on each thing, which could be cool. Like Ronnie Ching maybe could make a joke on.
But like, they maybe make one show.
Yeah.
Right. But you can't like if there was if for like the best picture of an Oscar season, okay, if it was like white people, then SNL would 100% do a sketch about it.
I guess they just
are they not going to do it? Well, they took a break like since then it comes back. So I'm very curious, like, are they going to do it?
Because the problem is the one thing they could probably take away is like, oh, we need more Asian. You know what I mean? Like they might make a joke about how they can't do it because they. I don't think they would
even know to do that.
Sure. Well, they did do like, what was it? They did do one for they did do one for when there was like no black women on the cast, and they had a black woman guest, and then they did a joke about how
Okay.
she had to like run back and forth and play
that's
all of
funny,
them or
yeah.
something. So that was like self-aware.
That's funny.
So maybe they could do that.
But I'm just saying, like, they're gonna have more. I think there's gonna be more and more situations like that where there are
Right,
gonna
like
be
how do we
things-
touch on this main topic? Yeah.
that Asians are a part of, and they're just gonna have to skip it,
Yeah.
which is fine. Like, there's so many things to make sketches about, but I'm just saying, like, as a community, like, I want to see that. You know,
Sure.
so if I want to see it, then we got to make it, and so I'm glad that we got to.
Yeah, no, I mean, doing the work. Also, the fact that I think when Obama was elected, like they had to go scrounge, like they had to kind of like go. They were
Yeah.
literally like, "Who are we got to go back get Fred
Yeah.
Armisen back, or do we?" You know, it was like
Yeah.
a struggle. I mean,
Right.
and I guess like maybe that's the case in anything because
They're
they
playing
had to go get Alec Baldwin for Trump, I guess. But it's like
Yeah.
I think for sure it happens when. It's funny when that happens first,
Yeah,
right? You
they're
know, like-
forced. They're forced. You
but
know?
it shows you how tied in pop culture is with, like how everything will happen as a wave because it's like, you know,
Yeah.
news begets parody, news begets more
Life
people
art
in the-
imitates life, imitates art, imitates life.
yes.
It's I mean, just in general, Hollywood is just a little slow, you
Yeah.
know. So they're not gonna assume that, you know, Asian people or whoever is gonna be making news. So they're gonna go with whatever is the status quo, you know.
Sure.
And so only when they're forced to,
Right.
right? Like actually, in New York during 2012, did they do anything about Linsanity? Like that was such mainstream, massive.
I doubt
news,
it. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And can you believe that?
How would they, right?
Right, but if
That
there
so
was
long
if there
ago
was
now.
someone like in the NBA or baseball, like doing something like that.
in New York City, yeah,
In New
yeah,
York
literally,
City,
like
too.
the Knicks, yeah, totally.
So we never got a Jeremy Lin on SNL. Like that's kind of ridiculous if you
Yeah.
think about it.
Retroactively, they have to get Bowen Yang to be really tall.
Yeah, and Bowen Yang, and that's the thing, and it's actually unfair to
If you're
Bowen
one, yeah.
to have to do all these
very
people.
hard.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think his impressions have that much of like
Sure, yeah.
of like
I mean,
a span.
He's, he'll have to like, you know, the new characters. That's like, I guess, what most of them have to bring in like new characters. But
Right.
it's like, what about
Yeah.
everyone in your race, huh?
Yeah. You have to represent all of us.
Yeah. Okay, then. Oh, I did want to ask you about. I mean, like, we've talked about this probably ourselves, but.
Okay.
Asian stuff is happening.
Okay.
It's been happening. Very
Okay.
exciting. You know, we love it. You know what I mean?
It's
but
cool.
this is you know, what I feel like the conversations that I want to hear about
Yeah.
are like with the people who, you know, have their own, you know, who aren't on the outside, I guess. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
you're in the Asian American community, you're in the entertainment community. So it's like, I
I'm
wanna know
still on
your
the outside. I'm kind of on the
perspective.
outside still.
I mean, you know, everybody
Right.
feels that way, but I think
Sure.
also, you know, it's versus talking to the next person who's like, well, you're Asian, so
Yeah.
things must be great, right? And then
Right.
kind of moving on with our lives. But anyway, yeah. So I think these are the nuanced conversations that the public wants
For
to
sure.
hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Sierra's fans. Yeah.
Oh, so much public.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, this big, obviously Parasite is our most recent big win. Happy Parasite month.
Yes.
And then the fact that last year, I know, maybe a jumping off point is last year not last year, 2 years ago when Crazy Rich Asians came out and everybody was like hyped.
Yeah.
I feel like I heard a lot from, you know, people who had been doing this for a while saying like, you gotta claim this now, like 6
Yeah.
months, you got 6 months. Like they're all like setting their
Yeah.
timers because it's like everybody's maybe seen that happen before.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't
Like
know.
while it's hot, you gotta be.
Yeah,
you
get
gotta
in there.
Get in there.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And thankfully, like it's not. It didn't seem like that much of like a flash in the pan. Like it does seem like that there's a lot of properties. I will say, you know, I think, you know, you saw news of like a lot of things getting like pilots getting greenlit and nothing really
Emperor
happened.
of Malibu.
Right.
Like,
And tons of other ones, right? And things that are either stuck in development or I don't know. There's apparently like 10 K-pop concept movies that are out there right now. Are we ever going to see the light of day?
You know,
So you know what? Actually, this is a great time to be an Asian writer because at least you're getting to
get
sell
that
stuff.
development fee.
Right. But the sad thing is that if nothing gets made, then the only person that benefits was that single writer. You know?
Right.
And
And whoever read the Deadline article.
Right. And so, yeah, we all got motivated, I guess.
Sure,
but
yeah, it's a
but
step.
ultimately, you want to see things go the distance, right? And so, how much of that has happened? Still very little, right? And that's why I think that there still is a lot of room for progress. And I mean, even going back to Parasite, there's part of me that my celebration for it is a little muted, I guess, and that's because to me, that's not an Asian American
No,
film.
yeah, sure.
It is-
And people don't know the difference sometimes. But
Right,
yeah.
right. And I think I look at Parasite as an example, or just a lot of South Korean culture exports like BTS or whatever, where as an example of like, as Asian Americans, if we could work together more cohesively, we actually have a lot of power. And what I mean by this is, if Parasite was going to try to be made here with an all Asian cast, I don't think it would have done that. I don't think it would have gotten made. I would have maybe
yeah,
like on an indie whatever,
right.
but like you got to remember that Parasite was made by a huge like movie studio in Korea,
Sure.
by Koreans for Koreans.
Yeah.
And then because it was so good, it has to be good.
Yeah.
It was accepted into American Western mainstream, right?
Right.
Look at BTS. It's Korean music for like, you know, their industry, but it gets so big and so good that it becomes, you can't ignore it in America, right? So then it becomes automatically accepted into our zeitgeist or whatever, right? So there's a part of me where I see there, and there's two kind of routes you can go for Asian American progress or acceptance in mainstream here. And I think some people go down the route, and I'm not saying one is right or wrong or better than the other, but some people go down the route of, all right, this is the game. These are the rules in the system. I'm going to be the Asian that plays by those rules and rises up according to their rules, right? And you have successful directors and actors that all do that, and that's great. And we need those people to do that, frankly. But then I look at what the African American community does. I look at what our Asian motherland or our own Asian people do on their own back in the motherland, and they rely on themselves. And I see that, hey, isn't there another route, which is we could also lean into each other and just be great to a point where they can't ignore us. And we can do that on our own rules. We can make the movies and the products we want. And as long as we have the support, as long as it's good too, we'll get to a point where Hollywood, whatever, Western media has to be like, oh shoot, what's going on over there?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's like it's like playgrounds, right? Like we have our sandbox that's already set up, this decades old, generations old Hollywood system that's run by people that are way deep in oil money and whatever, you know, like, you know,
lovely.
and then it's like, we're like in this rickety old, very dangerous sandbox with needles and stuff and like cat poop. And it's like, hey, like, let's try to make this sandbox nicer so that people will actually want to come play in our sandbox too. So I think I'm more in that mentality. And not to say that I'm against this and that I don't think that it's still worth to have a few, you know, pieces or going here, but I also see the value and that's also where I feel like the most equipped to help also.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, I love the sandbox metaphor you got in there.
Sorry, that's like my soapbox. A lot of boxes here, but
yeah. You gotta stand on your soapbox to talk about the sandbox.
Yeah, I think about this stuff like a lot.
No, yeah, this is great. Okay, exactly. Yes, so much to unpack. I feel like no, this is what we want.
This is what we're here for.
This is what the public needs. I guess just like, the fact that, you know, that is so much, I guess I'm less excited about, exactly, hearing about like maybe the already successful Asian who decided to embrace their Asian thing, which is, that sounded terrible, their Asian thing. No, I think what they're realizing is like, oh, now I maybe have enough power to do what I want to do, which is really cool.
Right.
But I think I'm just like, maybe less excited about that from the standpoint of like, well, you know, they're already pretty powerful, so I wonder why, you know, I wonder if it'll still operate within the same kind of confines that they've had to, because that's maybe what we've learned, whatever, what everyone has learned coming up that way. But it doesn't make it bad. Yeah, again, it's still very exciting. I think it's just like not as maybe revolutionary as we want it to be.
Right. Like that's why I actually think like Aquafina is actually a really good example of someone that like was playing the game like kind of her own way, and yes, she got a great opportunity through Crazy Rich, and then is obviously very talented, just innately, and so her being accepted so much to me is like, wow, I guess, you know, it is inspiring. It's like, okay, Hollywood, when there's the right property and the right package, like they'll jump in, and then once one person jumps in, it's just a feeding frenzy, right?
Sure.
That's just how Hollywood is. And so, but then there's a part of me where I'm like, okay, well, if they're willing to do it with you, hey, Hollywood, there's a lot of people that if you gave that same chance
Sure,
to, you
yeah,
could do that with, right? And that's the thing. Like, I feel like going back to what I was saying, like Hollywood's just kind of a little lazy, and so they're gonna see what's the easiest to find,
Yeah.
right? And so the only way for us to give them more, present them more, is you either wait for Hollywood to, grant that same lottery to one or two people per show or per season, or you go make it yourself, a la, what John did through Crazy Rich, and force yourself to find all these new people or elevate people that are working to a different a different tier. Yeah. So we're at ultimately, like, I talk in circles about this all the time, but it's like we're at our infancy in terms of our place in this industry. You got to like remind yourself that, you can't compare yourself to like our chapter 5 or to someone else's chapter 50. As much as I always want to be like, we need representation now, we need all this right now. I'm like, well, that like historically, like, the African American community and black cinema has been around for like decades, generations. They're doing remakes of their own movies.
Right. That's how you know.
Right? That's crazy, right?
Uh-huh.
And like, same thing with like, white or Jewish, like, it's like, yeah, like you guys built this system, so I can see why you're comfortable doing this, so it is disruptive to say like, hey, as Asian Americans, just in the last like maybe decade or so, like, is going as like this hard in entertainment, that we're like, hey, we want it all right now. Like, some of this stuff is moves slow, and part of it is just getting the reps in and just continuing to push forward. I'm not saying that the Asian progress from like the 80s and 90s or whatever is not significant. It's just that it wasn't powerful enough, or we didn't have the critical mass to really move
like
the needle.
I think it's showing that it did make some progress or something, but like, it was maybe we don't remember it, or that like those individuals are like going to come through and later be like, oh wow, you were in that thing, but like I guess we don't have a lot of record of that because it wasn't really valued,
and social media wasn't there to galvanize people, like
more of a democratic system now,
right? I mean, I remember it all. Like, I remember when Joy Club came out and Mulan came out. Like, those were like those were our Crazy Rich and whatever our farewells of the 90s. Better Luck Tomorrow in 2002, like that was huge. Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift was like such a big deal. Like, those are the things that the Asian American entertainment community had to celebrate back in the day.
Right. Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, we're rice rocket racers.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
So progress.
Han's back.
Han's back. Yeah.
But I see what you mean. Yeah, totally. Like all the movement that's happening, it does. I feel like it shows, at least, well, like especially when we're talking about Aquafina, it shows that there was like a clear need for that, in the same way that like if you just want to look at it like a market or whatever, it's like, oh, there was like a startup that was needed because this service is needed or whatever, and then
how did no one ever see that we needed this service?
We needed an Asian woman who's a rapper and then now is an actor, and so so it does. It's like it's validating from like the fan perspective too, of just like being a following certain, like especially following Aquafina's career or something even before she was big, and then you're like, oh, I like this, but it's like weird that people don't, and then you're like, oh yeah, everyone likes it, I guess I'm not weird, for liking this.
I think what I think the next step is for as Asian Americans rise in prominence and into places of power, like they need to like really lean into that power and start like utilizing it, for the benefit of the greater community. Like each person's individual success. Cool, I get it. Like, you got to worry about yourself first and foremost, and
gotta get that 9th Emmy before you get that 10th Emmy.
I guess so. But it's like, I hope more people. I apply this to myself too. Like, as people rise up, like they know to send the elevator back down, or they know that they can create jobs around themselves. Right? You're not just working for someone to get another role or another gig. It's like, hey, like I'm gonna start doing things for myself and for the people around me, right? So, I mean, that's not aimed at anyone specific, but like, we like that's what everyone else does in the industry. They look out for their tribe or building up the next generation. It's like we got to make sure we do that too.
Yeah. And yeah, it clearly like pays off or whatever. Like it is, they are very, I feel like when I see celebrities or something, like create something where they did hire a bunch of people or whatever, like they make the right choices. Like I feel like they choose good people, and those people actually are talented, you know, because they know their shit. But yeah, I think one thing that I always felt like maybe is a disadvantage for Asian Americans in entertainment is that we don't really like brag that much. I mean, again, stereotype or blanket statement. But I feel like, you know, the Asians of my sample size of friends or whatever, not even just in entertainment, not
I know
huge
way
braggers.
more Asians than you, by the way. But yeah. But no, even in that sample size,
Right.
It's baked into our DNA and our culture.
Yeah, which is, you
be
know,
modest.
admirable
Yeah, we're
in
supposed to be
some
humble.
things, but I think especially in this field where you don't really know what's going on with anyone unless they talk about it, because there's not really like a system in place to be like, and what did so and so get up to this past year? You know, I think that's like one thing where I'm like, ooh, I really want people to take away that they can brag a little bit and like, look, yeah, we all have to work on that. I have to work on it too, but I think that it's like that's what I'm hoping. Well, that's what could be good about uplifting others, is then it's like, well, you don't have to brag about yourself. You just brag about somebody else or whatever.
Right. And I totally had that epiphany of what you're just saying when I was like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, when I was out there pitching Yappy, the series. Like, I was so before
Check
like we
it
made
out.
but this web series we made, but before as a web series, I actually tried to pitch it as like a series to like production companies and, you know, streamers and stuff. And I realized, like, in retrospect, that when I was in those rooms, I was always like, I was just so honored to be there. I was like, I can't believe I'm in this room pitching to this.
Thank you for opening your door to me and for this bottled water.
Right. And the reason why I was so grateful is because I remember when I couldn't get this meeting.
Yeah.
You know, when I knew that no one would be interested in Asian American experience, a show about that, right? Like, so I was like, wait, you guys want to hear about this? Okay. And so when I pitched, I was very much like, I'm really excited, but like, yeah, like, I mean, it could be cool, you know, like this could be really good, you know? Right. And then I realized, like, I'm pretty sure when like Seth Rogen or Kevin Hart goes into your room, they're like, I'm the only one that can do this.
Right.
You guys would be missing out if you don't do this with me, right? Like, I'm amazing, and you want this. And I was like, whoa, I don't do that.
Right. In what scenario do we do that? But it's like literally.
But you have to.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I guess like if you're putting yourself in the shoes of the other person, it's like you're selling a product.
Right.
Again, back to these market references. But no, I feel like it is like, if you don't believe in it. I mean, I remember people would always say, like, if you don't believe in yourself, who will? And that's like a little cliche, but but it is kind of true. Because if if a bunch of people are trying to sell me something and one's like not as convinced, it's not as intriguing, I think, unless, you know, it's some sort of really already prominent person, right?
Right. And it's like, and I know how to do that for like my boba, you know, in my cafe. Like, I'm like super proud and salesy about
so
that.
You just had
because it's a product.
It's a boba show.
Right. Yeah. But
Think
then
of your show
but then
like
once
it's
it's
a cup
about
of boba
yourself,
muffin.
it's like, it's really hard to.
Right. But I think that's, you know, so maybe the best way, I don't know, because I think maybe too, they're maybe saying like, I mean, I know that was pretty also from your perspective. So it does feel like you're pitching yourself.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know, somehow also just like a product, right? That's like separate from you.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is all advice that I also don't know how to absorb. But
we gotta know. We gotta know when to act like a confident white guy.
Yeah. Lord, give me the prayer shirt.
Oh yeah, that's what. Is that where
Lord,
I got it
give
from?
Me the, I mean, I know I see it on a lot of shirts and tote bags.
Yeah, maybe that's where.
Lord,
I stole
give me
it from.
the strength to, or give me the confidence of a mediocre white guy. It's a very common
and the safety
tote bag and T-shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know, and then that comes with a bunch of other things as well. Yeah. But yeah, I know. So that's the one thing where I'm like, ooh, if I could, you know, instill that, because like sometimes I talk to friends and they'll be like, well, I don't know if I should like talk about that thing that I did, and it's like literally some people lie. So like if you're literally lying in the opposite direction, then you're like 3 steps behind the other person. That's true. You know, or they like say like, oh, I mean, like a joke would be like, you know, or actually a friend came on and said, yeah, some comics are actually saying like, I opened for Arsenio Hall when they just like opened a door for him, you know, like in the sense that it's not, they could just, you know, and like, again,
And it's a
you
joke
have so
in itself.
many
Yeah.
fun stories of on like late night shows of actors and people being like, yeah, and then I went up and I
Yeah.
lied and I said I was on set and then and it's like so
you're
fun
right.
to hear
Yeah,
when
it's so
it
fun to hear.
works out.
Yeah, when it
but,
works out.
but in the moment, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, lying can lead you to presidency. So look at
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes. But yeah, so I guess that's sort of a thing that I think about sometimes because I
Right.
feel like I had the privilege of having American born parents
And
who
yet you
were
still-
instilled with
You still ended up with immigrant like nature.
right. Well, yeah. So I think what is that, right?
What
it
happened
has
to
to be
you?
some sort of, but I think I still was more instilled than like, if I were fully maybe child of immigrants or an
Right.
immigrant myself. So I'm lucky that I can like go in being like
You have
more
a- you have-
confident
yeah.
there. Like I mean,
I
it's
guess on the
stand up, you know what I
spectrum,
mean?
on the
Yeah,
s-
but
you're-
like still compared to like another fourth generation white person is pretty different.
Right.
But like, yeah, I kind of wonder what that is though. But I mean, I think it's just like a minority thing, or it's also a female thing too. It can be.
It's. I think it's just a feeling of
or
if
an
at,
Asian American thing.
being marginalized at some point in your life, and if you were negatively or positively reinforced for doing certain things, right? And so that's instilled in you as a kid and by society, by media, So, like, if you're constantly like seeing posters or movies where someone that looks like you is amazing, you're gonna feel like, oh yeah, I could probably do that.
Sure, yeah.
And then when you don't see and then when you and then when you see examples of someone that looks like you being really lame or getting beat up or not getting the girl, like it does affect you, right? So
To all the boys I look Exhibit A and B. But
good for Lana.
I would say, yeah, she's killing it.
Yeah.
We love it. We love her. Also, oh wait, let me check, make sure the food.
I think I heard a doorbell earlier.
Okay. Then they probably got it. We're good. I'm sure. I told him to keep an eye out. Hey, confident white boy. Keep an eye out for the... No, yeah.
Do you
We're fine,
give
we're
your
fine.
boyfriend shit sometimes?
No, you know what? I think what I'm really... and it's so funny because I talk with other... I guess kind of a friend of mine who's...
Or does it make you uncomfortable when you say
white.
these things?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. He's got to be so used to it.
Oh.
I mean, I make a lot of jokes on stage.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think, at the end of the day, it's like, oh, but that I know that you're
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
One of the good ones,
Yeah,
But
why am I even
I mean,
concerned?
he's like a very,
Why, should I not? Look at me,
you're
concerned
like,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah. Are you doing okay? No. Very used to it. It's all in love.
Good.
And I wouldn't date somebody we don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
sure.
date a bad one.
Okay, yeah.
For this long, right? But I think oh yeah, all that stuff. And then the fact that like, I think I am hard on myself a little bit when I don't when I don't ask for something from it. I don't know what, what like, I
Asking-
guess, okay, what is it? It's like, I think if I am a pushover in a situation, I beat myself up more about it than I would if I were pushy in a situation, because I'm like, this is Sierra, you're perpetuating the thing that
Yeah.
you're trying to fight,
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, do
It does.
find
It does.
yourself
It sucks that we have to
in
like
those areas?
worry about perpetuating stereotypes.
right. It becomes
in the
bigger
first
than
place.
than just the instance that
Right.
you did it.
And you can't just be like a human that was not confident. You're an Asian that
Sure.
perpetuated the not confident
A
stereotype.
self-hating Asian.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
it sucks that we have to feel like we represent everyone, right?
Sure.
But normally, actually, it's like what I do beat myself up over is like if there was like a microaggression, like towards like my race, like and I don't say something.
Right.
Usually, like
Same.
a minute later after it passed, I'm like, oh, I should have said that.
Why didn't
But
I
sometimes like you're
cough in their face?
you're so shocked in the moment that you're like, wait,
Oh,
is this happening? And then the moment's gone.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh, I mean, I still revisit one particular instance, but I was like, I couldn't have said anything because it was like a very clear power disparity. But yeah, where it's like, oh, well, what should I have said? I think it was also like before, like a lot of this identity stuff has gotten stronger and stronger. So you're kind of more warranted to like, you're kind of like, it's okay if you say something, even if you're in a lower position, because you're like sticking up for yourself.
Right.
And like everybody will be like, oh, I Googled it later and I realized I said the wrong thing. You know what I mean? So I think that didn't exist.
That
at
happens?
time.
Okay, cool.
Well, I don't know, but I assume they've
Right.
got it. Or do they not live in this world? But I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, yeah.
But okay, here's another question about that. Kids Like sometimes you see these kids and they're like already feisty, confident kids. And I'm assuming that grows into, sometimes maybe it gets stifled, but like I would assume, like sometimes I just see white kids be like more like fun, like louder and like ask for stuff. And like, that's great. I'm like, wow, where does that come from? And then I sometimes see Asian kids do that. And then sometimes I see Asian kids who are shyer and sometimes I see white kids who are shyer. So like, I'm wondering if it's also just like in your being.
It's also parents. It's also what your parents
so
are
what
like,
are your
right?
parents do? So are they copying them, you think? Or like
I think it's like I said, like how they're reinforced negatively and
so if you're
positively
like,
at home, right?
Johnny, don't fucking open your mouth.
Because like if let's say like if I was the type, I guess I'm a more confident type now. So when I have kids, I'm going to teach them how to be properly confident, right? But if there are shy people that didn't have the same life that I had and they went through life and they're more shy, if they have kids, they're going to teach their kids a certain way too, right? So it is like this, unless something happens in that kid's life that switches whatever. Natural selection and natural evolution is just going to be like, oh, like we take what we learn from our parents. At least in the beginning, right? So especially kids, right? So if a kid's not being spanked for being a loudmouth, then they're gonna feel like, oh, I'm allowed to do this everywhere, right?
Sure.
And I would say that's not race specific, because I think there's just different types of people. But I will say culturally, generally speaking, Asians are probably not as encouraged to be like loud and obnoxious and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because I was wondering about that with, in school too. It's like there's like a study where the teachers with girls, there's a study where teachers tend to like reprimand girls more when they act out, because it's like boys are kind of expected to be a little rambunctious or whatever. So then that was sort of like an argument to, oh, make sure you're not doing that or whatever.
Did you feel like you grew up more American?
I guess
American, Western. I
well,
know.
I mean, very Asian American, I guess, in the sense that like I grew up out here, a lot of Asians in my school. My school was probably my school district. I don't think my elementary, La Cañada, elementary. I don't know. Elementary was pretty white, but I think as we got older, there were like more and more Asians. Because it was like a good public school district, and people moved there to go to school there,
and people
like
moved out, like white flight and stuff. Yeah.
Did they?
No, I'm assuming that's what happens a lot. Yeah.
Well, I think there's definitely some like a little bit of racism because they see Asians kind of taking over. I mean, taking over ? More like doing well in school.
Yeah, just like we want to go to good
just
school.
like being good students. But whatever. It was. I didn't feel as much of an outcast as maybe I would have, right, if I had got to an all white school or not somewhat Asian. I think it was like 30%, which is pretty high. Yeah. And then also, but I wasn't. But the hilarious like splitting hairs thing is I wasn't Korean, and there's like a lot more Koreans there. But I don't know, it didn't really make a difference to me because I kind of had the benefit of like my parents weren't immigrants, so it wasn't like they were, it was like they were kind of well, like being able to like, oh, here, I'll meet her mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those are very non-immigrant family things. Like they went to PTA meetings.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I think more involved maybe than. Because of that luxury of like being like,
the language barrier, the culture barrier, like they, because it wasn't as like scary to them.
Right.
Probably,
Yeah. So I think I benefited from all that.
Right. That's cool.
But what about you?
I grew up
school and such.
Like my city was actually predominantly white also. And then my high school, so I feel like the formative years, right? I actually had like mostly Asian friends, and in our school was only maybe like 15-20% Asian, so it wasn't too much. But I was well adjusted to everyone, and I didn't even like really go to have more Asian friends because I was like I want to be more Asian. It honestly was like I just realized that I just related to them more. So for example, like I still remember all through elementary and middle, friends were diverse or whatever. I didn't really care.
Young Phil doesn't see color.
Yeah. And then like freshman year, when like school's obviously getting serious now, I remember specifically the moment where at lunchtime I wanted to talk about the next class and everyone having the notes or something about the tests, and all my friends who were non-Asian were talking about wrestling or talking about a party or talking about something, and I was like I need the notes. I need answers. So I went to some of my Asian friends
my God,
who were in the Asian area of school.
who had their shit together.
Yeah, that had priorities straight.
I found my people.
Yeah, they ate in the cafeteria with tables, and everyone else ate on the floors and stairs like heathens. Yeah. So yeah, I started hanging out with Asian people.
Yeah, you're like, oh, these people actually took notes.
Yeah, and I could relate to them more. We could relate to
cool.
our families and what our goals more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it first started. But ultimately, I was still well adjusted. I thankfully. I understand that this is definitely a privilege also, is that I didn't grow up in a school or situation where I ever felt like I was lesser because I was Asian. And I know that's not the same for like a lot of people in this country, right? So I never felt like a girl didn't like me because I was Asian. If a girl didn't like me, I just thought it was because of me. And I don't know if that's worse. Or
no, Phil, she actually doesn't like you.
Like, no, it's because of my race. No.
Yeah, I can't believe you're so racist. And you're like, no, actually, how do I put this? I've dated all Asian guys.
And you are just the worst. Yeah. I had lots of non-Asian friends. Cool. I was involved in student government, so I felt like I had this very nice balance of being, well-rounded.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I also feel like it was enlightening or kind of sad, I guess. Yeah. Well, when I met people in college who were like, "Oh yeah, I was the only Asian person," and
I
like
feel
in the middle
them.
of
Yeah, I'm like, how did you survive?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, so props to you if you're one of them.
Good job.
I actually feel like in recent years, like I've actually, like, and I don't say this like proudly. I say this kind of like tongue in cheek, but it's like I've actually like regressed more into like my Asian bubble than before.
Sure, yeah, good.
Like, like I could go a week without seeing a white person.
Wow.
If I really wanted to, because my office is in a predominantly Asian area. My cafe is in an Asian enclave.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize when you're headed out to Alhambra area, like
that's
hang out,
Far East LA.
Yeah, that's a good term. My grandma's out there. Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah. So
lots of fun.
I know that I need to like not be in such a bubble. But that's just not where my work's taking me right now. Sure. But
I mean, I feel like it's a necessary one sometimes too. It's not like I feel like everybody. Well, like the bad term is self-segregation or whatever.
Yeah,
people would say that, but it's like
I
always felt like when people would say that to me or whatever, or say that about like a group. How come all the Asians? It's like but all the white people hang out anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like it's literally you just notice it.
Right, because we're one ethnicity, but to us, I notice you.
Right, it's like the diversity hired thing too. It's like, well, yeah, because you actually saw that happen versus like everything else is kind of blending into the background.
It's kind of like also when you say like, oh, you have an Australian accent, but to the Australian, it's like, no, you have an American accent.
Right, yeah, exactly. Anything American, it is also default. So
and I feel like Asians specifically get questioned about that actually, like when
why
they're like,
are you so Asian?
or like, why are all the Asians hanging out? Like I don't think anyone would ever say like, why are the why are all the so and so hanging out?
Right. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you get a lot of that sort of like othered stuff. That's like kind of seems like people are like
people feel more comfortable saying it about Asians.
Yeah.
Because they think we'll take it.
I mean, this is old, but like the whole SNL thing that happened that we talked about in the report card, go check it out.
Yeah.
It's dated now. Is like I was so surprised listening to some commentators that I follow who are like pretty good about race issue stuff.
Yeah.
And they themselves are not white. Kind of be like, I don't know. I think this guy shouldn't be punished because it's like
those are safe jokes.
Yeah, or like it's like I don't know. It shouldn't be punished because and like one okay, I'll be straightforward. I was watching The View, and I love to watch The View, and on the panel, like nobody's Asian, but one woman who's like actually conservative. One of the conservatives has like a Chinese adoptive sister, and she was like, well, my sister actually, she does not like that word. It's like really hard for them to like make that connection. And it's like, no, I think actually that's like a racial slur.
It's because in this day and age,
it's pretty funny.
like it still hasn't, the messaging still hasn't trickled down to them.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
Weird. But it's like, it should be pretty easy to map other
But at the same time, it's because like all the other struggles of other communities have been much more ingrained in American history, so people know about it by now, and that's what's even sadder is that it still took as long as it
Right.
has for it to reach
And
people. And even today, it's still
oftentimes-
not enough.
Right.
It's still
so it's like with
so-
lots to look forward
So
to.
like, yeah, so Asians, like, we're like even further behind than
Right,
that. So
right.
we're going to be called chink for like a very long time by idiots, you know?
But we can say that.
What's he up to? What's that guy up to? Is
He's
he's fine,
selling
right?
out those theaters.
Are you serious?
No, I mean he does have like I think there's a big. I mean it's not just him, but there's a lot of comedians now who are kind of rallying around the like free speech.
Oh my God.
And they have a huge following, so you can't deny that there's a need for it. Again, like Mark and shit, it's like there's like a real,
Right.
you know,
You're
you were
satisfying.
wronged,
Yeah.
and this PC stuff has gone too far, and stuff like that. So and that's a bunch of people, but that's also like kind of the Louis C.K. stuff too, and that's a different case, of course. But like,
Right.
even with that, they're like, we still like his comedy. He asked permission. They can make as many excuses as they want for people that they think are funny. So I guess so.
I just think like, just like up your game, I guess, as a comedian. Like, there's a lot of things that are very low hanging fruit.
Right,
know?
right.
So-
with that kind of stuff. Yeah.
so
With
it's like-
him specifically, with the
If you're gonna do an accent, do a really fucking good one. Like, go practice it.
right.
Because
Where we're like, oh, it's pretty good.
yeah, right. Like there's a viral video of like, I think I don't know what ethnicity. She's definitely not
Oh,
Asian.
are you talking about
The
Angela
Vietnam-
Johnson?
doing the
Oh, yeah.
Vietnamese, right?
That's like an old school.
That's old school, but
Yeah,
everyone is like, well, fuck.
Sure, that went around. Like my parents even like had the when email
Right.
forwarding
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
was a thing, and
Right.
like and like that
Favorite
was
treating.
huge in Asians,
Right.
even because we were kind of like, oh wow, yeah,
Right.
she gets
even,
us.
even Russell Peters, I know he's like South Asian, but like when he can do a good Cantonese
yeah.
accent, like you're like, okay, that's pretty good. So
Right.
like, not to give him a pass either, but it's like, if you're gonna go down that route, actually like really educate yourself,
Sure.
and actually you might find more humor as you figure out the nuances
Oh yeah.
of Chinese food and of
Right.
noodles and stuff, and like when that happened, like I
I just had like a trauma flashback.
yeah, like I tweeted. I hate saying that. I had this tweet.
Oh my god.
But I was like, hey, look.
Yeah.
First of all, the L and the R being switched. That's a Japanese accent like joke.
Oh okay, yeah.
And you're going to a Chinese
Sure,
place, so at
yeah.
least
It feels.
you don't even know that.
Yeah. It feels like you weren't there.
It feels like you just don't even know the baseline of the racist joke
Mm-hmm.
that you're trying to even make. So you sound even dumber
Right.
because you're not even getting your racism correct.
Sure. You got to get the racism correct. You got to get all that going. Yeah, I mean, and you're right that like, because I've been trying to watch more specials, and I think obviously like there's a lot of comedians who do a lot of accents, and it works better in the stand up setting than it does in like today's podcast setting, I would say. But it's always it's sort of like they get so splinter off so much as far as like finding the nuances in each.
Yeah.
And then, they have the benefit of like cutting to a couple in the audience that is that, and they're laughing. So everybody's like, it's okay. Like essentially like there's a way to do it. And I think I see where comedy has come from, like a lot of like funny race humor, and that's
Yeah.
like the point. And then you
Right.
can hopefully laugh at yourself, and like there are observations you won't know if you're not in unless you're not in the community, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So like it's like how they like British people coming over here making fun of Americans, you know what I mean? I
Right,
guess
right.
like that's like the acceptable way
Yeah.
that we are accepting. But yeah, so it's real
I think
tricky, but
I think there's ways
a
to-
lot mhm.
Sorry, no, I think there's ways to like tease and make observational comedy
Right.
with respect still,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, I don't know, like as long as you like approach it in the right way. I don't know. There's when,
Sure,
but when,
I mean,
but
it's-
when
yeah,
you're just
it's
being
tricky.
ignorant and you're just and you're punching down, it's that whole
Right. Well, yeah.
comedic
It's
role,
like
right?
we've seen that so much, and it just feels like it's from the past.
That's why
This is bad.
Ronnie's like stand up is so great. I really like it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I actually kind of recently watched his
Yeah.
special. It was so funny.
It's so good. Like, and he
So
he
good.
makes racial jokes too, like around everywhere, and I think it's done well, in my opinion. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he like
he's just on-
roasted America. You
Right,
know?
he's just
like, it
on
was pretty
Chinese
funny.
people the most though, so like maybe that's why. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I also want to, before you head out, because I know we've been here for a minute.
Has
I
it
don't
been
want
a
to
while?
keep you.
No, it's all
I
good.
don't know how long it's been, but it'll be great. Into the positive. I mean, we've talked a lot about Asian stuff, which I love to talk about, but I don't want to. I don't want to.
Only now you're just being an
I don't want
opportunistic
to
Asian
I
now.
know.
Where were you 10 years
I
ago?
know, 10 years ago. Oh man, I was
High
just sucking
school.
up to the white man. You know what I mean? All right. It's Stay Positive is the theme.
Okay.
So, how do you keep things, how do you keep your head up? You're an introspective guy. So clearly you know your mind. Do you have any
How do I stay positive?
I don't know. That's the sort of jokey version of it.
So I think I'll start with what brings me negativity.
Nice.
So the things that
Good way to
that
approach.
make me negative are when I compare myself to other people. And I think that
I do that all the time.
someone's
Not a
more-
fun place
yeah.
to be in.
someone's more successful than you, someone has accomplished, or is, I don't know, whatever. For me, it's a lot of professional stuff. Thankfully, the negativity surrounding relationship stuff is settled more or less.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
It came out the other end.
Yeah. And for a long time, that was what was consuming me.
Just like you didn't feel like when you weren't with the right person kind of
Yeah,
thing.
either that or I went through like a really difficult time of guilt and shame, and feeling like I didn't deserve love, things like that. But made it through thanks to a lot of forgiveness.
Nice. Hashtag goals.
It took like 6 years.
Oh,
though,
good,
so
good, nice.
don't be like me. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's mainly professional now. And I actually think professional. That's like probably the best place to find negativity because it's like if it was familial, if it was emotional, I think like so I feel like lucky that I have
because that feels like you can
I control it.
change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so regarding that, the way I stay positive is this is gonna sound terrible, but like I always remind myself that just like everyone dies.
Beautiful. And thank you, Phil, for coming on the podcast. We'll see you now.
So what I mean is that like
okay. That's good perspective.
no matter how great I think that person is doing right now in
You
life,
can kill them.
no. Like in a few years, like they might, like not they might be dead, but it's that's not what I meant. I meant in like everything fades is what I mean. When I talk about everyone dies, I'm saying that everything fades away.
Sure.
All the greatest successes, like even if you live on as a legend or whatever, like it's like like. I hate this word, but like relevancy, I think that's what I think drives people more. Relevancy more than actually your legacy. Well, at least when you're younger, because it's like you're like I want to be popular now.
Yeah.
Right.
While you're alive to see it.
Yeah, and it's like cool. Like even I feel like people that have like great legacies, or they know that like, hey man, you were amazing in the '90s. Those actors are still wanting to be relevant now, right?
Right. Yeah, that could be like kind of sad for them.
Right. So I feel like I'm putting my foot in my mouth. But what I'm saying is that everyone gets like a turn, I think, to have like you're always, you never know where someone else is on their journey, right? So it's like, okay, like it looks like they're really good, but you know what? 5 years from now, they're still going to be fighting to stay relevant, and we're going to be in the same boat, maybe.
Sure.
Even,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I see.
So I feel like that evens the playing field for me.
Yeah, it makes things not feel like it's going to last forever too, like your feelings.
Right.
And I mean, I've heard, I do like that a lot. Like everyone gets their time in the light kind of thing. That was like a thing I saw somebody had, that guy, what's his name? Andrew? I don't know. There's an actor who's like in Girls, and like he's been in a couple things, and now he's in like Black Monday or something.
Yeah.
And I think he like had a big thing about competitiveness, and he was like kind of a maybe musical actor too. So it's like constantly just talent and fighting for the role and stuff like that, which is tough. And he's had the same kind of like, what he learned is that instead of just like pining after, oh, that person got the role I wanted or whatever, it's like, oh, everyone gets their time.
And your time, like actually like your definition of having your time might change as you go too, right? So let me backtrack. Not everyone dies, but what I mean by that is look at the bigger picture.
Some people live forever.
Look at the bigger picture. There's a bigger picture at play, and once you see that this moment right now that you are upset at that one show that you wish you booked or whatever, it in the grand scheme of things, like that show is going to be 40 years old someday.
Yeah.
Right.
That show,
and if you make it, like that long, God willing, everything you do right now is going to be irrelevant. Is that
sure.
kind of sad, but also like relieving?
Right. They'll be like, hey, remember that show you were on? What happened to that?
My kids are going to think that what I'm striving so hard to do right now is going to be uncool.
Is lame. Ew, Dad, why do you even?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I could have the most amazing, like, culture shifting thing.
Right.
And my kid's going to be
are
like, I don't care.
Yeah, like, do you wanna? Yeah, I feel like a lot of directors will talk about that. Like, their kids don't even like their movies. Like, they're
exactly.
Like, I mean, this one they actually thought was cool, but it was only because like Will Smith was in it or something. Like,
and even Will Smith is like, now,
you
can't even use that.
He said that. Yeah, he said about his kids. His kids are pretty out there.
So that grounds me
cool.
a little bit. You
Yeah.
know? And it makes me enjoy the journey more. It makes me just feel like, hey, you know what? I thankfully have good health right now. My family's still around. You know, like and I get to have at bats at this game. You know, and I think that's a lot more than a lot of people can say. So I try to think about that often.
That's cool. Yeah, because I feel like the whole like getting their time or whatever. I also am like, oh yeah, I realize too that's like easy. Like that sounds nice if you've had your time.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm
and
like,
you can say, don't worry.
so when's that gonna happen? You know, when's my time? But yeah, no, I think zooming out always good.
Yeah.
That nothing is forever.
So if nothing's forever, so just enjoy what you have is what I'm saying.
And Phil poisons his enemies.
That's really what I meant.
Thank you for that admission.
How's that water, by the way?
Yeah, I just keel over. I mean, I guess like also, do you think that, you know, the shifting definition of what your time is or whatever, has that happened a lot for you? Like, do you feel like, I mean, I think especially with Wang Fu doing it this long, when your nose is so close to the painting, you know, when you're too close to the painting, you don't see what you're actually creating, right? And so because I still remember in like 2010, like just being so stressed out about Wang Fu and like, oh, we're not doing enough, or we got passed up for this, and because that like new media was like this hot new thing, and like maybe we weren't getting enough subscribers or whatever, and at that time just thinking like, oh man, we're done, right? And then fast forward to now, 10 years later, and we're still going. But then what's crazy is that I'm meeting so many people, you know, over the last 10 years and still now that are like, dude, that time like was so transformative for me. You know, you changed my life, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like while I was there, like that was a time. That was kind of like a period of time that was really special, and I just didn't even know it. So I try to, you know, remind myself that this might be my time right now. This might be, and you gotta enjoy it.
Right. So this might be the best it ever gets, you know, and I should just enjoy it. And then, but actually maybe 10 years from now, like I'm still going to be just working hard and striving, and maybe that will be the next 10 years of joy. And I'm excited to be married and have kids. And I think that's going to give me a whole new perspective. And like, I hear all the positive, you know, things that people say where it's like your perspective on life completely changes once you have kids. And I think that's going to happen for me.
Right. Your kids are going to think you're lame.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm so happy to have you, but I also know you're going to hate me.
Yeah. How can you? Don't you know how cool I am? I mean, that's fascinating. Like, it is crazy hearing when you look up to are like, oh God, but I'm not, you know, like, or like, oh, even that thing, man, I would change this and this and that. And you're like, oh, yikes. Does it never end?
That's what's scary.
Yeah.
Like once you level up, there's always another level to go. Right.
Yikes.
And so you're
scary.
Never satisfied. Right.
Right. So you have to like accept that, or what is that?
You have to accept that. And that's the thing.
Quit now?
No, I think that goes back to my like bigger picture thing. It's like you just have to accept that you're always on some place of uneasiness. So just enjoy how you're getting there, and the fact that you're even on that path is actually what is the most exciting. It's not reaching a destination, right? Cliche. It's not about where you go; it's about the journey, and it's so true.
Yeah,
you know
goalpost stuff. Yeah. I mean, like I remember, I think something about how like Ozzy Osbourne. This is so random. Would like look like when he has like his whole festival in his name, essentially. He's already a huge, you know, groundbreaking metal guy. And then he like checked behind the curtain and look it out. And they're like, oh, what are you looking at? You know, and he's like, oh, I'm always scared nobody's going to show up for it, you know, at that point where you're selling out like stadiums and it's like, oh God. I mean, it's like a little bit depressing because you're like, oh God, you mean that like at that point you're not less. I mean, again, that's probably a unique case did a lot of drugs. So who knows?
Yeah, I wonder
But,
if Betty White's still worried if she's still relevant.
I
you
mean,
know,
did I?
She's still working
I
about
mean, God.
booking stuff.
right
you know?
after like a long, fruitful career.
Yeah.
So they say that's the case.
I
but-
think you just got to be comfortable aging, you know, and you know, whatever experiences are coming with that, you know, like it's I appreciate the fact that I even just get to age in general, and I think and especially actually the whole, like, not to start a whole nother conversation, but the whole Kobe like thing, like actually like I mean, I'm not every time a birthday comes around and people want to like make fun of, oh, you're getting older, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Not a lot of people get to.
Sure,
you
yeah.
know? And
Especially
that's a quick way to make them feel like shit.
they're like, my car's here. I gotta go.
You're like, oh, sir, I'm just your Uber driver.
yeah.
This is a Wendy's.
Yeah. Please leave. Wow. Yeah. That was crazy. Obviously, Kobe stuff, but also, I remember. Oh yeah, this New Year's we were watching like. Like CNN had a New Year's thing too, which is like hilarious because there are all these like political pundit types like being like, and we're in New Orleans. And Anderson Cooper, they asked him like, oh, so like, what are you excited about this year? And he was like, well, my dad died when he was 50, so I didn't think I was gonna make it past 50. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like he literally is like 52 or something. It's like, sorry to make it dark, but yeah, I just didn't. And it's like, oh God, like like that. I know a lot of folks who have a parent die young. They kind of were like, yeah, I mean that's all I thought, because that's, you know, kind of your blueprint. And so it's like, wow, you know, knowing that even our age is
we're very lucky.
Uncharted territory. Yeah. Good. But everybody dies, by the way, just in case anybody was getting too excited.
Positive.
Yeah.
By the way, you spelled
did it.
positive wrong. You added a D.
I know.
Oh.
It's good. It's good, right? It's good branding. See, you know, you gotta have your special, pizzazz to your title, so that way, you know, Google doesn't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, any final plugs or thoughts or words of?
No, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I think
this is fun.
No, you're someone that, you know, we've been following, or I've been following for several years now, and you know, you're very talented, so I know you'll get your time. No, this is your time.
This is my time. I put the light on because it's my time to light.
This is it.
Thank you.
You've peaked. You've
great.
Peaked.
Thank you. Everybody dies, Phil.
No, you're great. You're doing amazing things, and I can't wait to ride your coattails as you move forward in life.
I mean, good.
Yeah, I mean, you did.
I don't send the elevator back down though. I hope you know that. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm holding on for
I'm
dear
so
life.
sorry. Yeah.
I mean, you ate a Big Mac and you're already.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're
oh,
done.
this is
You're done.
Next stop.
Thanks for having me on, though.
Biggest Mac.
I appreciate it.
Oh, yay! Well, thank you. All right. Yay!
Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye.